really only want the yellow leaves, and I'm starting to think that actually it would have been much quicker to pick out the non-yellow ones because they're mostly yellow with a few other colours thrown in. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. And this really is a photography video, not just me sorting out leaves, because I'm going to use these leaves to create a really interesting autumn or fall based portrait right here inside of my nice warm dry studio. To get the most out of this, I want to be quite careful about the colours throughout the entire setup. So I really am just choosing quite specific coloured leaves. Now, whilst I'm doing this, you should be doing something more exciting, like clicking on the subscribe button so you don't miss a video right here on Adorama TV. And trust me, they're usually a lot more exciting than this. In the meantime, let's get a light set, let's get a model in, let's get some leaves sorted, and let's get shooting. So, to help me out today, I've got the awesome Chloe. Come on in and make yourself comfortable. Chloe's going to be the model for this photo shoot, and as you can see, she's going to be lying on the floor. And on the floor, we've got a few things here. So I've got, well, let's start at the bottom, this rather nice sort of brown, beige coloured studio paper background. And then I've got a whole collection of leaves that have been drying out over the last week or so, all collected from the garden. And they're all kind of colour themed together. I wanted it to be a nice sort of warm yellowy brown tone of colour, and that works really well, except of course we need to push some of these leaves in. Now I only have a finite amount of leaves, so we are going to have to play around a little bit with maybe some photoshopping of cloning in a few areas if they're missing, and just generally moving them about during the shoot. So the next thing I'm going to do is set up the lighting, and there's a few ways we're going to light this particular setup, but let's start with perhaps something nice and simple and try and replicate the reality of really flat overcast lighting. And to do it, it's all going to be a one light setup. It's going to be this light, the Flashpoint Explore 300. Now for flat even lighting, the easiest way is no light modifiers on here other than the built-in reflector, and I'm just going to head it straight up towards the ceiling. The light will hit the ceiling, bounce around, and then come down evenly on Chloe. Now it will take quite a lot of power away from the flash to do that. I'm going to guess maybe 1/4 power. And I'm aiming for an exposure about f4, somewhere in that kind of range, trying to be realistic with the amount of output we can get. Chloe, I'm going to hold this near your chin. And I'm getting, well, exactly f4. So that's absolutely perfect. Now, for me, I think this photo is an overhead, straight down kind of picture. So I'm going to use some steps to get nice and elevated, but I'm also going to make sure that Chloe is aware of everything that's going on, because it can be a bit disconcerting being underneath a camera. I'm going to make sure I've got a really firm grip, that the cable is out of the way so I don't trip over it. Here we go. I'm also going to make use of my flippy foldy screen so I can actually fold the screen out. So when I'm out at arm's length, I can see exactly what's going on. And that looks really nice. Yes, we need to move the leaves around a little bit, but that's the basic idea set. And I think we're probably good to take some photos. So Chloe, are you ready? Okay, let's take a few photos like this. Here we go. Let's move some leaves first. It's not just the colour that I've styled for this shoot. Any shoot can benefit from props, so the props that I've given Chloe to use, like a leaf and a book, are all carefully chosen for colour too. For the second lighting look, I'm going to change it around a little bit, so it's not going to be soft lighting, it's going to be a bit more stylized, directional lighting. But how do you light somebody lying down? Well, you have to think about them as if they were standing up. Where would you put the light if they were standing up? Well, I would put it in front of Chloe and elevated from Chloe's head. Well, that's what I need to do here. So I've got a very low level light stand. And if you want to know all of the kit, you'll find links in the video description below. And that's going to allow me to get the light nice and close to Chloe and also low down. But it's going to go above her head like that. So that's the same position. I've got it nice and close because that's where I would put the light normally, really close in. Next, I need to take a meter reading. Now, I could do this by trial and error, but I've got a flash meter, so it makes sense to use that. Chloe, I'm going to pop this near your forehead actually today. Let's just pop that in here. So I'm shooting at f4. Well, that's f18 because it doesn't have to bounce off the ceiling anymore. That makes quite a difference. Let's bring that down a lot. And I get back to f4. So I'm back to my same camera settings as before. Nothing has changed. It's still going to be an elevated photo. I'm still going to be overhead. So let's bring the steps in. And I'm also going to reposition the leaves because we had a little bit of a moving around session earlier as well. So I'll give this a bit of a tidy up too. And let's just take a test photo like this. So Chloe, I'm just going to climb up on the steps. Here we go. Looking straight down. This time the light looks a little bit different. It's coming in from the top and the side, and it looks really nice. It almost reminds me of sort of late evening light, and I really like the feel of this, but I just need Chloe to look towards the light a little bit more because it is a fairly angular light, and that will put a bit more light into her eyes. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's take a few photos like this. With the light being fairly directional, I'm going to add in a reflector just to bounce in a little bit of light and fill in those shadows. For the final setup with the leaves, I'm going to change not just the lighting, but the photographer. I mean, not physically, I'm going to change the position of the photography by taking a picture from over that side, looking directly across. So I'm going to get down to Chloe's eye height. Now for this to work, I need the illusion of having a whole bunch of leaves that extends far beyond the back of Chloe. And the easiest way to achieve that is actually get a little board, prop it up in the air slightly so it's angled up, and then have the leaves on this board. And that's about as much as an angle as I can get on this board before they all fall down through to gravity, but that should be absolutely perfect. I'm going to come around this side and set the lighting up for this. So once again, I need to think about how would I light this if Chloe was actually standing up, and the idea would be, well, I would light it slightly from behind. So I'm going to put my light all the way over there like that. And then, because I'd like these leaves behind Chloe to be out of focus, I'm actually going to use a different aperture. I have a lens with a 1.2 aperture, so I'm going to use 1.2 aperture and high-speed sync flash to make sure that those leaves stay blurry and out of focus. Okay, let's just take a little test photo, see what we get. Here we go, Chloe. And this is really nice. Simple setup, but it looks like we have an infinite number of leaves. You need less in the foreground than you think, but you need more in the background than you realize. And that's everything set up. So Chloe, if you're ready,
I'm ready.
Let's take a few photos like this. Here we go. I'm using high-speed sync flash for this, but you could swap that out for a continuous LED light. Its lower light output would make it a perfect solution for getting that shallow depth of field look that I'm going for with this final setup. Of course, I could have just as easily set this whole thing up actually outside on location, but had we have done that, we'd have had to deal with the weather, damp conditions, and, well, various creepy crawlies probably inside of the leaves. All things which don't seem particularly appealing, especially when you can have a nice warm dry studio to work in. Now if you've enjoyed this video or you've got any questions, don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Click on the bell icon and you'll never miss a video right here at Adorama TV. And of course, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey, thanks for watching.